Hydration is not as complicated as it sounds, and it's not as simple as it sounds. 8 cups a day is a little arbitrary for a 230-pound guy like me, and it would be a little silly for a 110-pound girl, right? It would be different for somebody that has different nutritional patterns, that has different activity levels. So you really have to gauge what's going on when it comes to hydration. One of the really easy ways that you can do this is you can get 1/4 of your body weight in ounces before noon. It's a pretty simple way. Most of us are going to sit somewhere pretty close to half of our body weight in ounces per day. So if we take half of our day of being awake and we say, okay, we're going to drink half of our body weight or 1/4 of our body weight before noon, it's a very simple way to go about it. It's not complicated, it's not hard, and that's going to set up your thirst mechanism so that you can figure out, do I need to drink more, do I need to drink less? There is such thing as hydronephenia, but you'd have to really struggle to get there. However, the first case of this, I think, was in 2006 at the New York City Marathon. I'm pretty sure that that's where it was. And the woman had to get pulled out of the race. The woman was pulled out of the race by her husband because she did not recognize him. This is a very serious thing that has killed multiple people. It's not something that you want to mess with, but you'd also have to work really, really hard to get there. And part of the reason that people thought that they needed to, that they got there was because they were trying to drink a gallon of water before their actual competition, or a gallon of water a day. And that can be fairly dangerous. So you want to segment or you want to individualize your intake for you. This is something else that we see with the electrolyte intake thing, which is a little bit silly. It's Gatorade works because there's sugar in the water, not necessarily because there's more electrolytes in the water. But let's say that you are electrolyte depleted because you've drank so much water, but you really haven't drank or gotten enough of the electrolytes that do come from food and things like Gatorade and Powerade and these other kinds of energy drinks. So could you supplement coconut water for your Gatorade? Well, yeah, you probably could, but you're going to lose out on some of the electrolytes there too. So the majority of us, though, that are not athletes are going to get a certain amount of water from our food, and we're going to get the rest from drinking water actively. You want to do this. Now, there's silly things that we see in the gym all the time, like people will not be without they won't even take 10, it won't be, they have to be within 10 feet of their water bottle at all times. If you're showing up to your workout and you think you're going to hydrate yourself at that time, you are already well past the time when you would have needed to be hydrated. Hydration is a 3-day deal. If you get drunk on Saturday night, you're going to be dehydrated until Tuesday. Does that make sense? So you're going to have to do 3 days of good, solid hydration before it actually gives you the benefit of that hydration. So think about this when you're super, super active, you're gonna have to drink more. When you're really, really sweaty, you're gonna have to drink more. When it's very dry outside, like in the wintertime, you're gonna have to drink more. Actually, heat-related illnesses are much higher, or heat-related incidences are much higher below freezing than when it's hot outside. Isn't that kind of crazy? But it's because people don't drink enough water, and then they layer up and they can't shed those layers fast enough to actually get the heat off of their body. We are tropical beings. We are not beings that evolved from an area of the world that was cold. We evolved from an area of the world in the southern tip of Africa that was very, very warm, and part of the reason we know that is because we sweat extremely well and we stand on 2 feet, so the sun only hits us on the top of the head and the top of the shoulders, so we could run our food to death for tens of thousands of years, and that's how we became such great endurance beasts. But when it comes to hydration, don't think that everybody has to drink 8 cups of water. That's really silly. A very simple way to go about it and to judge for yourself is to listen to your thirst, but you got to build that up. So most of us don't have that relationship. So build that relationship by drinking 1/4 of your body weight in ounces before noon. And if you're interested in learning about some other holes in your nutrition, your recovery, or your exercise, go to gritgym.com/SS and we'll sit down and have a strategy session together.